Welcome to the Shrink Wrap Show. I'm Pam Hernandez-Kaufman.
And I'm Talia Peak. We're two shrinks bringing you holistic health hacks.
With our 30 years of combined experience in therapy, we share helpful information about common issues that everyone faces.
Then we break down powerful, proven tools you can start using right away to better your life and your relationships.
Let's wrap.
Welcome back to the Shrink Wrap Show. Today we're going to talk about gaslighting and narcissism.
We get asked a lot about this. This shows up a lot in our clinical practice. And what we want to start with is by saying this is the term du jour.
Yes.
Everybody's gaslighting today. Everybody's in a relationship with a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is that's not exactly the truth of the matter. So we want to talk a little bit about narcissism and separate it out into a full-blown personality disordered person, and someone with some narcissistic traits. Mm-hmm. It's believed that someone with a personality disorder has a very fragile ego and has a very significant emotional wounding that happened very young in life. And this caused the need to protect that ego. Mm-hmm. And the way that they protect it is to use power and control. Mm-hmm. So if we were to look at the internal family systems model, we would say that that person exiled parts off of themselves. And one of the parts they exiled off was the part that was in pain, the part that was hurt, the part that felt vulnerable and shamed. And they don't want to look at that. And so they use that protector called the manager of control and power. And so really it looks like they are large egoed, but it's really a very fragile ego. Mm-hmm. Not able to look at that, not able to see that, not able to be vulnerable. And so it gets covered up with some of the narcissistic traits that we see. Now, a narcissistic traded person is a person that has maybe some tendencies toward being selfish, self-centered, not being able to be empathic. A person with a personality disorder has no empathy. They don't have that space. In fact, if you look at brain imaging, it seems to be that there's a blank space where empathy would be. So they can't access it. A lot of people believe they are in relationship with a narcissist. And so what we want to talk about, I think, is some ways that you can know this is a narcissist. And I think that would start with there is a complete inability to empathize with you, a complete inability to see your perspective, to modify a point of view, need for control, need for all of the authority or power to be in their court. There is no collaboration. There is, and very importantly, these signs don't show up in the beginning. So during the limerence stage, or the new part of the relationship, that can really last up to 18 months, even more, sometimes less. There's a lot of good. Everything looks great.
Very charming.
Very charming. Love bombing. People say everything was fine during that phase. And then almost when the intimacy is required in the relationship and there's a consistency in the relationship, you're seeing the person day in and day out, they can't keep the facade alive. And so these little cracks in the narcissism begin to show through. It's a hard thing to work with. In therapy for a personality disorder, it's very difficult because they're egocentric. And so they have a hard time saying it's me. No, it's you. It's that. It's the boss. It's the job. It's the economy. It's the president.
And they blame everything else.
Everything in it.
That's why a lot of times you don't see a true diagnosed narcissism coming into
the
therapy.
Office. They don't seek therapy. They may come if the relationship is at risk of being lost. And then because they feel threatened, they'll come. And generally speaking, they'll point the finger at the other person. Well, if only they would do this other thing, it would all be okay. So our hack really here for narcissism is Look for red flags in the very beginning of a relationship. Look for consistency in how someone behaves. What are they like when they're disappointed? What are they like when it's tax time? What are they like when they don't get the gift they want for Christmas during stressful periods? Do you see? And don't ignore those signs in the early stages. When your serotonin is super low and your dopamine is super high, we have what's called the halo effect, where everything looks fine with this other person and anything else I poo-poo. If someone tells me, hey, I noticed, and it's a negative something about this person, when I'm in limerence, I'm going to tell you to go fly a kite. So paying attention to input that might come from good, trusted people and quality people in your life.
What about if you're the narcissist?
What about it?
How would
what
you
do I
help,
do?
Yeah, how would you help that person? Is it more like, are you working more into their childhood attachment style, or are you working more into, let's look at self-awareness, empathy, emotional intelligence?
I would try to look at all of those things. So I often will go in and try to look at family of origin. What happened? Give me a chronology and let's see where some wounding is. Try to build in some empathy. Try this. Now it may be that they're going to fake it, but maybe they'll make it after they begin to do that. Oftentimes, though, it's just a first order change. They're doing it because I'm telling them to, for a reward or to avoid a punishment. It's difficult if it's a full-blown personality disorder. Now, if it's characteristics of, oftentimes these can be taught. These can be, once they feel safe and they trust, they can form a corrective emotional experience with a good therapist. And then can form a corrective experience with their partner as well. So there is hope for narcissism. We also wanted to just touch briefly, and we can cover this in more depth later, but gaslighting. Another term that is way overused. Everybody's being gaslit today. All right. So the term comes from an old movie from, I believe, 1942, where the husband is trying to make the wife crazy. Because he really wants to get rid of her. And so he begins to turn the street lamps off or down a little bit at a time, so that night after night it's dimmer and it's dimmer. And he's telling her, what? They seem the same to me, but they're not. And so she begins to go nuts. And so a classic gaslighting strategy or line might be, I didn't say that. Or that never happened. Or, you know how your memory is. I'm very good at details, but you don't remember details, and that's not how it happened. And it can be more subtle than that as well.
Man, I've seen some gaslighting and just day-to-day conversations with people too. It's kind of ironic that we're talking about this, but it can be very insidious.
It can be very insidious. Because when you're in relationship with someone you trust and they're telling you that didn't happen, you believe them. If your parent is gaslighting you, you believe them. You're supposed to trust these people. They're your attachment figures, either your original or your adult attachment figures, and you should be able to believe them. And so you want to believe them. And it's hard for you to accept that maybe they're not telling you the truth. So automatically the go-to oftentimes is, maybe I don't remember correctly. Maybe you are right. It's true, I do have a bad memory. I had an experience like this when I was married to my ex-husband. He would consistently say things that were not, you're going to get hurt. If you try to find your birth mom and it doesn't work out, it'll be hurtful. I'm just trying to take care of you. So our hack here would be know yourself. Know yourself. And if you have a need to find your birth parent, or if you need to go back to grad school, or if you really want a child. So don't lose you.
Don't lose you.
Don't allow anyone to tell you how you feel.
And recognize when a person is truly trying to help you and truly just trying to dismiss you. And if that person is someone that you trust and respect, you should be able to have that conversation with them and say, hey, I actually don't believe that to be true.
Mhm.
And this is why. Having that open conversation with someone to change that
To see
narrative.
if they can change it. Because one of the classic things that will show up is isolation.
Yes.
And one of the classic lines will be, your family and friends, they really don't have your best interest in mind. They really don't understand you the way I do. And so you need to go back and say, is that true?
Is that true?
What evidence do I have of that?
It's kind of like the 4-question turnaround.
And so I know my truth. My mother has always been supportive to me. I don't think she's against me.
Right.
And so what is that about with this? Isolation will be one of the classic tools of a narcissist because of the insecurity they feel.
Absolutely.
It's actually about not wanting to lose you. Yeah. So keeping you under their thumb.
Yeah.
Now, narcissists are not always male. We have both sides of the gender equation here happening.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to throw anybody under the bus gender-wise.
Yeah.
It happens with lots of different people. Yeah. But there is hope.
There is.
And we suggest get therapy for yourself if you believe you're in a relationship like this, to hone in on your own boundaries, your own set of standards, and realize you're not nuts.
Right.
And if you're on the other side, there's hope for you as well.
Yeah. And once again, use that 4-question turnaround. Check in with yourself.
Is this thing true?
Is this true?
Can I 100% know it's true?
Where's the evidence of it? Yeah.
What am I feeling when I'm like this, and what will I be like without it?
Exactly. Yep. Thank you.
Yes.
See you next time.
More on narcissism and gaslighting to come on the Shrink Wrap Show.
Yes.
We're so glad you joined us today on the Shrink Wrap Show.
If you enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, remember to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and share the show with people you care about.
Also, your feedback is valuable, so leave a comment, question, or suggestion, and we'll see you next time on the Shrink Wrap Show.